Hello friends, Tom Downey here for NFL Daily presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Let's take you through all of the latest NFL rumors. First up, let's talk a little bit of trade here. How about Tyrod Taylor? Look, the NFL trade deadline is rapidly approaching. We're going to have plenty of fun trade rumors to discuss. Now, Hugh Jackson says the Browns haven't discussed a possible Tyrod Taylor trade. But why wouldn't you? It doesn't really make sense from Cleveland, but it is, I guess, to the Browns a little bit there, although I don't know if I actually believe Hugh Jackson there. Now, Tyrod says, or should say Tyrod, I think both work really, says he wouldn't turn down a trade, which makes sense from his perspective because he wants to play, right? Every quarterback wants to be the guy for his team. That's not right now the case for Tyrod because Baker Mayfield is the guy in Cleveland. The question is, who wants to take on Taylor right now, and that salary doesn't make a ton of sense overall for a team unless there's a big injury in the near future. All right, more trade talk and more quarterback talk here. How about Derek Carr? Now, Jason LaCanfora, and again, it is LaCanfora, so grain of salt, big one on this one, says he expects a Derek Carr trade. In fact, thinks he'll be dealt to the Giants at the NFL Combine, which I guess kind of makes a little bit of sense from the Giants' perspective because they want to win right now. They can, I think, afford to take on Derek Carr's contract. They can get somebody else early on in the draft. Now, I would assume you're going to get a first-round pick back if you're the Raiders. You get something back for Derek Carr. As for the Raiders side of it, I will put nothing past John Gruden right now. Pretty much every player on that roster has been linked at some form of level to a potential trade, all the way down to recent first-round picks like Garyon Conley and Amari Cooper as well. So I'm not going to put it past the Oakland Raiders. And if you're the Raiders and apparently you're trying to blow up the roster, does it make sense to try and trade Derek Carr then? So what should Oakland do with Derek Carr? Type K for keep, type T for trade. The completion percentage has been very good, but he's kind of turned into check down Carr all of a sudden this year, which is very strange. And if you can get a first round pick for him, and apparently you're going to blow up the roster, which is what John Gruden seems to want to do, maybe it does make some sense. You would also make some sense, guys, is my free NFL Pick'em game. Sign up for free at BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code LIVE120 in case you do want to deposit afterward. But sign up is free. Then DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. I'll send you guys the game link. Make your picks. If you come in first place, and we'll do it each week, by the way. So even if you lose this week, you can still win next week. I'll send you $25. So think about that. Free to sign up. You all love the NFL, I assume. Why else would you be watching? Why not see if you can get the most pick right? Come in first place, you'll get $25. So DM me at WhatGoingDowney if you guys want in. All right, more trade talk now. Will there not be a Le'Veon Bell trade? So far, there's been little buzz and interest per a Jeremy Fowler report of any trade for Lev Bell. Now, Bell himself doesn't think he'll be traded. And, of course, the big question mark that's still floating out there is when, or maybe at this point, if Lev Bell is actually going to report to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the initial reporting was, he'll be back for, in time for week one or for the bye. Well, we're sitting here on Thursday, and he still hasn't reported yet. Is he actually going to show up during the bye week? Not sure on that one. If he doesn't show up this week, will he show up next week? And then all of a sudden, we keep playing the will he, won't he game. So for Lev Bell, at a certain point, you hope he comes back. So here's the question I have for you guys. Will Bell play in Week 8? Type yes, or like for yes, and a wow face for no. I hope so. My fantasy football team hopes so. But we'll see what ends up happening there. All right, some more trade talk. This one, again, a denial of a report. Patrick Peterson, will there not be a trade? Again from LaCanfora, and again, grain of salt, and again debunked by both the head coach and the GM. This one never actually made much sense to me. At least one team called the Cardinals about Patrick Peterson, and Arizona's response, no. They didn't even consider it at all. And frankly, even though the Cardinals are rebuilding, I don't think there's much reason to trade away one of, if not the premier cornerback in the entire NFL. I love Pat Pete. I'm sure many NFL teams would love to acquire him, but I don't think you need to trade him away right now. Keep him on your roster. He's still in his prime. Even in your new revamped rebuilding timeline, he can still help you win once Josh Rosen is fully ready to go. And most importantly, the rest of the roster is also ready to win. So I'm saying no on that one. All right, time for some more team-focused rumors here. Is the Seahawks franchise going to be sold? Unfortunately, owner Paul Allen passed away this week, and the report from Mike Garofalo is that the sense is the Seahawks will be sold. However, don't worry, Seattle fans. The franchise isn't supposed to be going anywhere. The expectation is they will stay in Seattle, and thank goodness. There's no reason to move the Seahawks out of Seattle, as they have a great fit right there. So hopefully there's nothing too drastic to change with Seattle. You got to keep that 12th man advantage, right? One team that maybe isn't in the best fit is in the Los Angeles Chargers, and there are some owners, reportedly, that are worried about the Chargers' viability in Los Angeles, and a big reason why was the change in revenue goal from $400 million all the way down to the hundreds of millions. That's not good if you're the Chargers, to have your revenue goal drop by that much. And does this really surprise anybody, by the way? LA couldn't support teams beforehand. How are they suddenly going to support two? So with that in mind, where should the Chargers play? I got some options up here for you. You can shout out Mexico or London or San Antonio if you guys want as well. But four that I think maybe makes some sense. LA, you could go back to San Diego, but I think that bridge has kind of been burnt. Maybe you can go to Oakland. That Oakland needs a new team with the Raiders moving to Vegas. Or maybe you could go back to St. Louis. I think St. Louis is still a viable spot for an NFL team. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Feel free to shout out other cities as well. We'll stick with the Chargers here. Is Joey Bosa going to be back in a few weeks? That's what his father, John, says. Now, Bosa had previously said he'd be out until at least week 8, and, well, we're almost there. And the Chargers, by the way, naturally, have very much missed the impact of Joey Bosa. I think it's been a big reason why their defense hasn't quite been as good as you would hope. Now, they've been able to get by with Melvin Ingram, and they got Corey Luigi back from suspension. But Isaac Rochelle, Landrum, Square, it's not quite getting the job done. So you want Joey Bosa out there. You also have Uchenna Nwosu as a linebacker, edge rusher type hybrid guy. You want Bosa back out there. I think for the Chargers' perspective, have him take his time because we need him for the last half of the season if we're going to make a legitimate playoff run. All right, folks, if you guys want your own awesome mizzen and main shirt, go get one. Comfortable.af. You will not own a more comfortable shirt, dress or otherwise, than a mizzen and main shirt. So check them out. Comfortable.af is the website. All right, injury note here. Leonard Fournette sounds like he is going to be out again. Didn't practice Wednesday or today on Thursday. That's not a good sign for Fournette to be able to give it a go this week. The Jaguars, they play in London next week, and then it's the bye. As we've mentioned before on NFL Daily, don't be surprised if Fournette misses the London game and then is also out for the bye. The Jags will continue to lean on TJ Yeldon, plus some of Jamal Charles, who, granted, the Jags had nothing going on offense at all against the Cowboys, but he had 5 carries for 5 yards. That's not really what you want. So we'll see what happens there with the Jags. If Charles struggles again this week, maybe you look into the trade deadline and maybe you find another back just to help you out and give up a late round pick in the process. All right, folks. Here's one that I'm kind of surprised we're getting, and there's been a little bit of buzz about this, namely from Bleacher Report, who says maybe it's time to start Kyle Lauletta. He's definitely next in line to start per ESPN. And yes, Eli Manning has struggled. And at some point, you would like to see if Lauletta is the answer, if he's viable as a true quarterback for the Giants. I'm not sold on Lauletta for one big reason. He's not even a backup right now. Alex Trickshot Tanny is. Now, I love me some Alex Tanny, but I don't want him as my backup. I want him as my number 3. So if I'm the Giants, maybe you just stick with Eli Manning and you embrace the tank, because frankly, coming out, I evaluated Lauletta as a backup type quarterback. I didn't think he was going to be the guy. And I think if you throw him into the fire now, coming from a FCS school, I don't think that's the best for his overall development. So I don't want Eli Manning being my guy. He's not the guy anymore. He's been bad for the Giants. But I don't know if any of their backup options are actually viable or good. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Folks, today's show was brought to you by BetDSI. Sign up, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code LIVE120 gets you a 120% deposit bonus. And then DM me on Twitter if you guys want to know my free NFL pick'em game on BetDSI as well. All right, one last streamer here for you guys I couldn't resist putting in. We'll talk a little bit of NFL draft here, just a little bit. So the report from Yahoo Sports was that scouts are absolutely in love with Justin Herbert, and he's drawing comps to Andrew Luck and John Elway, and he would have been the number one quarterback last year had he been able to come out. And I like Justin Herbert. I like him a lot. Let's pump the brakes here. My favorite part of this entire article was that they called him a once-in-a-century type prospect like Andrew Luck. What century are we in, guys? You can't have two of them. That defeats the purpose of having a once-in-a-century type prospect. So I like Justin Herbert a lot. I think he'd be the number one quarterback if he does come out. He might not. But to say he's in the realm of an Andrew Luck or a John Elway, or would have been the number one guy last year, I don't think is right, and I don't think it's fair. It sets up unrealistic expectations. Now, if you're asking me, I still would have taken Baker number one. Then I would have taken Josh Rosen. And then I actually might have taken Herbert over Sam Darnold. I think that's going to be a little bit close for me once Herbert finishes up his career at Oregon. And I would have taken all of them over Josh Allen. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. And we'll see you guys later on in the week for some more NFL Daily.